Hi, I'm Steven, and I make fonts as Aerotype. Thanks for stopping by today. I just updated my website, aerotype.com, with this project named Mono, which I've been doing a series of videos about. And it's still in pre-release, so it's version 0.2, but it's got quite a good glyph coverage because it's kind of coming from the Name Sans project. So I was able to port along a lot of those glyphs. There are still things that I have to add, but yeah, it's in a pretty useful place already for code. And hopefully, you'll stop by this web page and you can download some trials if you want. You can try it out a little more on your own. And yeah, it's kind of a fun thing. And yeah, see the glyph set as it currently stands. So, one question I've been asked a few times is like, will this have code ligatures? And I think so. It's definitely a goal of mine. I like code ligatures much of the time, especially like there's a core set of code ligatures that are just really nice and useful. Like they're kind of like a syntax highlighter function, in my opinion. So like if you read some articles by type designers, they'll be a little grumpy about code ligatures and say that like they don't match the Unicode representation of glyphs. Whatever. I think they are fine and cool. If you like them, and if you don't like them, they're optional in pretty much any font that they're in. There are definitely challenges with code ligatures. One of the main kind of critiques that I've heard that is a good one from a type designer is like, where's the spec for code ligatures? And there's not really a spec. Like, that is to say, what symbols and strings should actually be put into ligatures for code, and then perhaps what should those ligatures look like? It would certainly be nice if there were like a list in the OpenType spec or something that you could consult, so that you could go about it in a really systematic way and have some sort of confidence that you've added the ligatures that people are going to want, and you haven't added ligatures that could maybe like backfire and actually cause unintentional sort of I don't know, overlap between languages or something. It would be pretty nice if somebody had really like worked out exactly what ligatures ought to exist and that. Luckily, there are some projects that I think come close to somewhat of a spec. So if you like code ligatures, I'm sure you know about Fira Code. It's a really cool project. They took Fira Mono, which was made for Firefox, and then Tonsky is their name. This chart to me is a bit like a spec for code ligatures, or perhaps a spec for like if you go really, really intense in code ligatures, what it might be like. I am not going to go this far with name mono, or name code, maybe I'll call it, because honestly, I think that code ligatures are useful for people who like them, but for people who really want all the code ligatures, yeah, go use Fira Code. It's a good font, and if you like the vibe of name mono, but you want a few code ligatures, that's what I want to offer. I want to offer. I really like some of these like strict equality things in JavaScript. Some of the like lesser, greater than symbols I think are pretty helpful. Just because like when I'm a programmer, I don't know, when I'm coding and I want to say less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's kind of, I don't always remember what order to put the signs in. So it's nice when it like snaps to this. It kind of confirms like, yeah, you did it right. So for me, that's pretty handy. And then some code ligatures are there more for kerning sort of than for combining things into a new form. So the double bar is a really good example of that, or like the slash slash for comments and HTML, like links like HTTPS colon slash slash. It looks better if you like nudge the slashes together. So that's a lot of talking. I'm not confident whether I'll be able to make like a decent prototype in my first time sitting down and trying it, but I'm going to try it. I did make code ligatures for a previous project of mine called Recursive. It's another font for code. And if you haven't seen it or tried it, you should totally go try it out. That is to say, I figured out some of the problems before and come up with solutions that worked for me. And credit again to Tonsky for kind of explaining some of these solutions that I didn't use code, I don't think, from the Fira code project, but I did use it as an example of like how you can set up features in a way that like will actually work with these kind of multi-unit wide glyphs, but having a strict single unit strictly monospace font, which is necessary for especially a few apps on Windows to actually make a font work and show up as a monospace font. So I could get into it, but like I think I'll just start working and see if I can make a prototype, and that will maybe be the best way to explain it. So let's start. I'm going to start with making like, I'm going to try 2 ligatures only to start, because often the best way to figure out something in a font is to make it like as a very basic example. And this looks bad to me, so I'm going to quickly fix that. Okay. Still looks a little goofy. Okay, that's maybe about right. All right. Sorry, I couldn't resist. That is why this font is still called a 0.2. There are things like that that aren't quite up to like a finished standard. Right, so we want to start with our equals sign, and I'm going to make the ligature for equals equals. I'll start by duplicating it actually, and I'll say equal underscore equal dot code, and then I'm going to make this. Can I do this? N times 2? I guess not. That's too bad. Maybe I can do, I'm just trying to figure out the like glyphs metrics. Dang, no, I can't. Maybe. That would be cool. Oh well, we will do it. What? Come on, 2400, please. Okay, that's... I wonder if glyphs is like asserting things to be monospace because I have something in the yeah, it must be. Is fixed pitch. Dang, but I need this probably to keep it just to like for exporting this helps set several useful pieces of information in the font. So that's really annoying. But to draw this, I would definitely prefer to have, or it could be an auto alignment thing. Let me try to decompose these. It could be that simple. Let's see. Hey, okay, nice. What the? Yep, that is something I didn't expect to be a problem, but it certainly is. Well, for now, I will try I don't know. What I potentially have to do is something like turn this off, and then in my build script, add back those pieces of monospace font data. Let's just test this for a second. Yep. Okay, that's what. But does that work if I just temporarily shut it off, I wonder? Let's see. Wait, let me make sure this is monospaced. Okay, it is. I mean, almost. Okay. I'm just matching these up. And let's see, I'm going to add a guide and rotate it and then turn on the measuring so that I can check that I have a consistent number of units between each of these. And yeah, we'll run with that for now. Copy that to there. And I'm basically just centering it in the cap height, approximately. Okay. Almost done with this part, and then I'll copy it over to the italics. And then we will get into the hard part that I might fail at. We'll see. Temporarily fail at, I should say. Dang. Yeah, it kind of snaps it back. That's so annoying. It's like understandable and helpful for fonts that don't have code ligatures, for monospace fonts that don't have code ligatures. That's a good feature. Like, I've been sitting here setting things equal to n, but glyphs kind of automatically does it for you, which is mostly nice. Also, perhaps an example of how like the magic of glyphs can be a good thing or a bad thing at times. Yeah, it is what it is. So we'll just try to work around it for a second and come up with a better solution later. I also want this one. Let's go to all glyphs, search for equal. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn off is fixed pitch for a second so that I can do. Does that work now? No, it does not. Oh well, at least the units are easy to remember. 3600. Okay. And then we're going to do that and then slant it, slope it, center it. And then I don't think I've shown this on these videos yet, but I made a very simple script to whoa, oh, that locked my screen for a second. I made a very simple script to Align. I realized that I was doing this a lot in the italics, right? I was clicking 2 points on the end because the italics, by the way, are like this, where rather than ending at a slope, the strokes end at vertical cutoffs, sort of inspired by like Space Mono, some families by Dynamo, Mass Driver IO is another one that does it. I think it looks really cool when fonts do that. But yeah, so a simple way to do it is to transform it like that, which is the same thing as doing like this, but it's actually the same thing as, let's find it in here. Wait, I swear that oh, outlines. Okay, zero width. Yeah, so the script is easier than I expected, and I found something pretty close to it in the glyphs forum. And basically, let's see. It I'm trying to remember here. It sets up a transform. Oh, it determines the middle. So it basically gets your selection if you select 2 points, and finds the origin. Well, this is the, it gets the width of that selection, so those 2 points as a box, divides them by 2, which is kind of the middle, and then it gets the origin, which is like within the grid of your glyph. You want the leftmost X, so you can kind of bump up from there rather than getting the width and like setting it close to 0x. Then you set up a transform, and this code allows you to kind of transform by your middle X value here and set the node positions of selected nodes to there. So yeah, this like NS affine transform thing is something from AppKit, which is something like in Mac OS. So I don't quite like, I'm not super familiar with it. The outcome though is that if I select this and then it's awesome. I set it to the shortcut Control Option Command, spacebar. And where did I set that? Maybe in glyphs settings or something. I don't know. But yeah, love it because I was doing that a lot, and it just makes it way faster. You could potentially get really clever and try to like detect where points are at a slope, but I think that would be overkill and probably sort of hard to do really well anyway. So this ends up being really good. And potentially I have to rethink my like mono spacing script to not like rely on the N. It would be useful to set these in the middle without changing like the glyph width to the same as a key glyph. I don't know. Anyway, that is something that I'll want to figure out if/when I go ahead and make like a lot more contextual alternate glyphs. But until then, this is kind of a good way to go about it. All right, so let's see the features. We're going to add a... So in recursive, I had set these as discretionary ligatures for the main font, and then there is like a script you can run to make the code fonts where it changes that to contextual alternate feature. The reason I don't want to have it as a contextual alternate feature in the main fonts is that then it would be active by default in browsers and word processors and InDesign and things. Whereas I sort of strongly think that in those graphic design or writing contexts, it should not be on by default. But because things like Fira Code and I forget which one like inspired that, because those use the C alt feature, contextual alternate feature, code editors like VS Code put the like enable code ligatures button in settings, which activates cult rather than something more sensible like discretionary ligatures. That's my gripe about it as a type designer. But oh well. The gist is, in the end, I will probably do this again where I set it up as dlig for the main fonts and then use a script to generate secondary code fonts. For now, just to test it out, I'll do these as contextual alternates. The other part is in the recursive project, I had this make cult feature code script that would like go through all of the glyphs that had the suffix .code on them, and then it kind of created this strange feature syntax that is necessary to make these work. Let's see. Yeah, basically there is a good blog post by Tonsky somewhere where he describes how these work as single unit glyphs. Basically, this cult feature adds spaces essentially, or a glyph called lig, before the glyph itself, so that it kind of like just makes it work. So anyway, I'm just gonna copy and paste from here for now, just because I do want to see if I can. Oops. I want to see if I can just prototype this really quickly. Okay, so we want this one. And we also want equal, equal, equal. Next step. Basically, I'm trying to make a proof of concept here. Do I do anything? Do I have to do anything with these lookups, or do they just work? Maybe they just work. Okay. I'm going to try subbing space for now instead of, well, space is kind of a keyword. So I am going to make a glyph called lig, I think, which will just be a blank glyph. And I'll do this in a better way. I've said that 100 times, but yes, I mean it. Okay. And, okay, so we've got our space glyph. Let's command deduplicate it. Call it lig. Okay, we'll do that the same here. I'm curious if it will build in this simple way. This is less clever of a way to do it, but could work potentially. We'll find out. I am curious. Okay. Is fixed pitch? Yes. Yeah, to explain this visually, actually, basically what happens is like, if you're saying like 5, I think this would work in JavaScript maybe. Basically, it kind of does this under the hood where there's a lig on one side or the other. It might be that it comes before it. Yeah, it's like an amazing stack. So it kind of looks for the sequence of equal, 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 swaps the first one with lig. Then it looks for the sequence lig, equal, equal, swaps the second one with lig. And then it subs lig, lig, equal by this ligature. And then if you add more equals, it ignores them. Pretty cool. Yeah, that logic was, as far as I know, figured out by Tonsky, but I could be wrong. But yeah, but you can see like in the recursive project that once you have a full set of code ligatures, lordy, you need something to generate it. So that's why there's a Python script to do it, because this would be a lot to write by hand and copy and paste and very error prone. But I have to be in a better frame of mind, a smarter frame of mind, I don't know, to really adapt that over. And I just want to test it early. So this is telling me, I think, that the spacer ligs come before the glyph. So I think I need to have the glyph actually off to the right side instead. So it's more like this. And then let's swap this. So it's 57 units that I want over there. Same for this guy. I'm just holding Command Shift left so I can make it pretty quickly. Oh, I still have to do it here. Okay, let's do this. 88. Mm-hmm. 161. Yeah, that's where drawing these with actual like not fixed pitch spaces would be really helpful, because you could see like if they were the correct width or not. I don't know that these are quite actually the width that I want them to be. It'd just also be way easier to like do spacing and drawing, and yeah. So I will have to figure it out. Otherwise I will be miserable. But we'll get there. Oops. Okay. Just had to make sure I had the right space. This shortcut, by the way, made me realize that you can get a very momentary measuring tool if you hold Control Option Command at the same time in glyphs, which that's pretty cool. But you can also use it for a shortcut, so not bad. Okay, yeah, so then it would be something like lig, and then equal 5, or variable is what you would actually check. A variable of some sort. Okay, so you'd probably have it the other way. Oh well. That is why these are so nice. Now, do I have the code in both the Roman and the italic? I do. Okay. So let me just run a build and see if it fails or works. Make clean and make. Okay, so our build appears to be working just fine, so that's nice. I didn't accidentally introduce some sort of incompatibility or something, as is very easy to do. All right, there we go. So some variable, we'll do it like that, equals 551. Cool. So yeah, basically it appears that the very basic prototypey way to do it is working. The last thing I will do is let me actually chuck it into my font folder and we'll test it for real in VS Code. Replace prototyping code ligatures. I should probably be in a branch, but oh well. So we're gonna quit VS Code and open it. Maybe reloading it works. I don't always remember. And yeah, I basically just split the screen, Command 2, and then we've got name mono here, and we want to say ligatures. And oh, it is set to true actually. So I mean, heck, we can just try it. Some var equals 51. Okay, yeah, the reason that people like code ligatures, I'm just gonna call it, is because that's just cool. Look at that. That's just pretty cool. Like it elevates the cool factor of typing with a font, and it just kind of bumps it up an extra notch. So yeah, that's my hot take. Well, shoot, now I just have to figure out the actual way to do it. To be continued. I just have to like think it through without verbalizing all the thoughts. But yeah, that is kind of like, I guess to wrap that up, when I'm prototyping something in a font, the thing I try to do often is make the simplest possible version of it first and just test it and like keep kind of notching that up and up and up until I have the thing that I want. And yeah, it's hard to always put into words what that test is, but it's sort of like if you're writing a script and stuck on a certain function, you also want to try to isolate that thing as much as you can to see the smallest possible instance that is failing so you can make that work and then kind of work that into the bigger thing. Yeah, if you're making a variable font, you should make the letter H work first with your axes. Because there's a lot involved in that with building and making sure the outlines are compatible and things, and then you can scale up from there. So yeah, literally probably for the first versions of this variable font, these code ligatures, I will really try to limit my ligatures to a very simple set. So, you know, equality, comparisons, that might be it for the first round, because I kind of feel like that's a good amount to figure out most of the technical problems, and also like the very most useful set, and then I can scale up from there. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting to you out there. Thanks for watching. If you're working on creative projects or code projects or other projects, I hope it's going great. And yeah, thanks for your time. Take care.